Our next speaker, she was partly introduced in their speech, but one of the things that we try to do during our service is we try to hear from the descendants that come that have family or that was from here, and for them to give that their talk as far as their feelings and stuff as to what happened here and how they see this process. Our next speaker comes from Front Range Community College, and her family, her great-grandfather was here, and of course, her dad was introduced also, but please welcome our next speaker, Annaliese Bonacquista.
Hello, brothers and sisters in solidarity. I'd like to take just a minute to recognize April 20th, because it is the day that we are all here to remember and to honor. And I think it's important to think about the day with those lives lost, but those who survived to live on as well. And that day, April 20th, is sacred for many reasons. And what's already been mentioned today, it's sadly being forgotten. We need to remember the history. We need to remember the truth of that day. And as was introduced, my father, who's sitting right there, Richard, my hero. He was he's the son of a coal miner. He's the grandson of a coal miner, a Ludlow freedom fighter who stood on that prairie with his .30-30 Winchester and fought for freedom. My father has taught me from a young age, when an old person dies, a library burns down. All of the old people of southern Colorado are gone. Their voices and their stories are fading. Ludlow is dying, and it's up to us, all of us, to resurrect Ludlow. And it's ironic, I think I choose that word, resurrection. That sacred day of April 20th was in the shadow of Greek Orthodox Easter. It was a time of coming together with celebration and shared faith. And we must, to resurrect Ludlow, do the same now with a new kind of celebration and faith, the one retelling the story of the past. And we have a responsibility to do that, to those voices who are long gone. We must continue to tell this story to anyone willing to listen and those unwilling to listen. Never forget the rally cry from the 10 Days War. Remember Ludlow. But it was more than a cry. It was a shout. Remember Ludlow. The cry did not say, "Oh, thoughts and prayers. Too bad this happened. Now let's move on because it's too painful." No, that pain is part of the memory. Honoring the pain is something that needs to happen. Recognizing the fight is a necessity. If we let Ludlow's memory die, that's us doing the killing. And to resurrect Ludlow, to remember remember and honor it. That means looking at things in a new way. We've kind of heard some introduction already with some future changes in an attempt to do just that here at this site. We all see the names on the plaque. We've all read them. We all see the faces of the Costas on the monument. But there's more to the story, and there are people missing. Just because someone isn't in a history book, just because someone's name isn't memorialized on a plaque yet, just because you might not know their names, that doesn't mean that person didn't matter. And this is not just a place where people died. It's a place where people lived. And if you take time to listen to these hollowed grounds, they will speak to you. This is a place where immigrants found a home, came together with working class Americans, finding that brotherhood and solidarity with one another to take on that corporate tyranny and oppression. This land is where thousands of people stood in unity and said, I deserve better.
Yes.
Courage is one of the most difficult actions a person can display. And 112 years ago, the people of Southern Colorado united under its banner, despite the fear, the uncertainty, or the cost in the end. You had men stained with coal dust, bravely standing on the picket lines, taking on an enemy who not only thought of them as subhuman, but one who literally wanted to kill them. You had little children bravely rallying around their fathers, taunting the scab workers. Women stood strong and tall behind their men, beside their men, and in front of their men. Women need to be remembered. They bravely advocated for the betterment of others, endangering themselves in the process, and at a time when women didn't even have the right to vote. The bravery of the women must be part of the story, must be remembered, despite a double standard. Courage in women is often mistaken for insanity. Those women who fought on that prairie are the unsung army of Ludlow. Their voices and actions must be preserved. They must be put on a pedestal for their contributions to this. And to honor them, not just the women, all the fighters, the strikers, the little brave children, all the supporters across the nation, we can try to do this in many ways. We can resurrect their memories in many different aspects. If you look out on this prairie, if you look around us, we can literally understand by walking in their footsteps. And one day soon, thanks to the wonderful people behind me, we will be able to do this, to walk where they've been, to feel what they felt, see where they lived, where they came together, where they fought in unison. And I try to get my students to realize things when we discuss events like this. I tell them, put on your history hat and go back in time. See it through the eyes of the people who experienced it, so you can feel everything they did. So let's play. Put your history hat on. It's 1914. We are all living in the Ludlow tent colony. Just over there, we've got women from the old country cooking recipes, the smell filtering through the air as they lean over pot-bellied stoves. And behind us here, strikers were meeting in private to discuss how they and they alone were going to keep the tent colony safe and where they were going to hide the weapons they had just in case. You also had up and down that dirt road the Baldwin Felts bullies driving their death special, attempting unsuccessfully to intimidate a group of people who would stand courageously together against them. Little children laughed and played, their voices and sounds providing normalcy. Somewhere out there, my great-grandfather lived, providing protection for a community that he called home and a people that he called his family. But there's some stories we might just never will know. Some maybe have drifted off into the wind. Others maybe have been buried deep within family history. But as long as those descendants and the historians and educators and the union and those of you passionate about history, as long as we embrace the memory, Ludlow will live on.
Yes.
Thank you, Annaliese.